Senator Moran.
Chairwoman, thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Good morning. Let me start with a topic that I asked you about in your confirmation hearing, or in our conversation prior to your confirmation hearing, organ transplants. For over 30 years, HHS has contracted with United Network for Organ Sharing, UNOS. It is currently under congressional investigation by the Senate Finance Committee. I would tell you my experience is their attitude, approach, their policy has been very discouraging and detrimental to the lives and well-being of those individuals who are hoping to be a recipient of an organ transplant. Damaging geographically in their outlook and damaging geographically in their policy. The contract that UNOS holds with HHS for organ procurement and transplantation is up for competition in 2023. A recently published request for information on the contract, which I joined Senator Grassley and Senator Wyden and Young in supporting, this RFI is an essential step to improving the nation's organ transplant network. Numerous reports have highlighted the best way to increase competition for the contract is to divide it up. I don't know whether that's the right answer or not, but I'd love to hear from you what specific steps. I want to know that you are aware of these problems and what specific steps you intend to take to increase competition for potential organ procurement and transplant network contractors.
Senator, this is an issue where you have real people who come to you and tell you about their real-life circumstances. So we actually absolutely know about this. We are trying to prepare to make sure that in the process of coming up with these new contracts, we increase supply, not diminish supply, that we make it a more fair distribution of these organs, and that we make it more transparent. And that's in the works. And what I offer to you, because I think it's so important across the country, is we will work with you if you and your team have any particular ideas. If we haven't already incorporated them, I'm more than willing to make sure we take that into consideration.
If you would give me a name of a contact, you give my staff a name of a contact today, we'd be glad to follow up. I'd love for your team to hear from not only me, but from those who are actively engaged in trying to make this system work better.
I'll follow up with you at the end of the hearing, whether we meet directly or through our staffs. I'll make sure that that happens.
Xavier, thank you very much. Let me highlight a couple of other things. The National Strategic National Stockpile, the budget requests $975 million for the national stockpile for FY23. Ensuring that, and I raised this topic in the authorizing committee, and I want to make sure that it's not lost between the two committees. I serve on both of them. But ensuring that the SNS is restocked and maintained to its maximum capacity is important. I think it became more important with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And I would ask your commitment to prioritizing fully stockpiling the biodefense and pandemic response supplies maintained by the SNS.
You've got my commitment, and I hope you'll take a look at the President's pandemic preparedness plan moving forward. I think you'll like what you see.
Thank you very much, and I will do that. Rock Regional Medical Center is a new hospital in the suburbs of Wichita. Me and my office have been working with Health Resources and Services Administration for the past year, flagging Rock Regional, which did not receive a fair allocation of provider relief funding. It is a new hospital and was treated in a way that it seemed to me that HRSA seemed uncaring about solving this problem. And it's not the only hospital in which that's the circumstance, and I don't think I'm the only member of the Senate who believes that. So why is HRSA so unwilling to reconsider their methodology for PRF funding for new hospitals?
Senator, you are absolutely correct. You are not the first, and Rock Creek is not the only facility. Here's the difficulty. All those funds that were dispersed before 2021 were done under a formula that we could not change. That formula, to your point, relied on looking at past performance. If you're a new hospital, it's hard to talk about your past performance. That did damage a lot of these facilities that were newer. The difficulty, as you'll understand, is we could not change the statutory framework of the Provider Relief Fund and the distribution. To undo that would have meant to have to pull back all the funds. What we did do was we changed the formula with the tranches of dollars that still existed that we could move forward with. But we're more than willing to work with you and those providers in your state so we can try to address some of that. But it's tough because we can't undo what was previously used.
You described it. I'm always pleased when an administration official of any administration says they want to follow the congressional law. That's pleasing to me. It's not always the case that I find it to be the case that it happens, but I would indicate that we thought this could be better addressed in the later phases, and our conclusion was that it was not. So I'd be glad if you, again, help me get, again, to somebody who can address this issue.
Yeah, and if you'll permit me a quick response, it's not that we didn't want to, it's just that what was left with the final phases was so little, and there were still so many new incoming requests, and some facilities that had gotten no money whatsoever. For example, nursing homes had been left out in the first tranches. So it's not that we didn't want to go back, it's that what was left, we couldn't try to undo the formula requirements of the previous administration.
Thank you for your explanation.